Hi, this is Rob Shalom, founder of Mountain Tactical Institute, and with me is Mintra Madison. Mintra has been a friend of mine for years, and she came to one of my first programming courses. I don't know if it was one of my first, but it was just outside Fort Bragg, and she was married at that time to a U.S. Army guy. And at that time, your husband was stationed in Germany, right?
Yep. We were stationed
Yep,
in Bamberg.
in Bamberg. Yep. And Mitra is German. Her mom, I think your dad is German, right? Your mom is Thai, and she's fluent in three languages: Thai, German, and English. I mean, she's much smarter than I am. And Mitra, you came and interned with us there in Wyoming for a while. That was fun. And then you went back to Germany and you started working. If I remember right, it was you started working with soccer athletes, right?
No, I wanted to start with soccer, but it was so there was no female strength coach at that time. So I went and tried my luck with hockey, ice hockey.
Hockey.
But
That's right.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
no, it's fine.
And then you worked for you're in Hamburg. You worked for a local club there for a while, I think, if I remember right. Run me through that again.
Yeah, I was a strength coach for the Hamburg Freezers, who were at that time first division Hamburg club male athletes, and I did that for 3 seasons. Yeah.
How did you get treated as a female strength coach in there?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was pretty wild. I constantly had to I feel like if I would have been a male strength coach, some things would have been fine, but I had to bring 200% every day. I couldn't slip. I had to be I had to be on time. Everything I said had to be, it's lots of politics involved too. With the players, it was fine. Like once we went through a couple sessions, I was accepted, and the coach was fine too. But then there was a couple of hierarchy things, and so yeah, it was interesting.
So the players, they let you push them around and coach you after you earn their respect.
Yeah.
Friction with the other organization. You guys, you've been a female strength coach for a long time, and in my experience, really good. All the female strength coaches who have interned with me or worked for me, always had no problem with men. Sometimes they have a problem coaching women. Has that been your experience?
No, not at all. Because
Really?
I was coaching the hockey club, but then I was coaching at a local CrossFit box, and it was fine. What's funny was I had no issues with the women or the female athletes, but like some of the guys were like funny with me. Like I don't know.
What do you mean funny? What do you mean by
Yeah,
funny?
like I would say something and they would question like I remember we were doing squat cleans and they would question like how to do a squat clean. They didn't know how to do a squat clean, but they were trying to tell me that it was wrong. Like I remember like getting into like some discussions with some athletes.
I haven't worked with a whole lot of hockey players, but they generally always worked really hard. Was that your experience, the actual players?
Yeah. I mean there's two types I think. So the younger players, they like they're enjoying life and they don't see I guess the longevity aspect, but then there's like the ones that have done a couple seasons or a little bit more seasoned that literally they would then take it really serious and be super professional about their fitness. Yeah, so it's two parts.
So Mintra is the creator of the Hyrox event, and she's not recognized for this. And we're going to get into that. Now, listen to a couple other podcasts you've been on and run me through it. But if I understand correctly, you knew this guy Christian, and he knew the work that you had done with military, and he reached out with you to create this event, or had you already been working on the event?
No, he actually he gave me a call when I was in Jackson Hole. I think it was like 2014, like when after I was interning or mentorship with you, I came back the next year, I believe, and that's when he gave me a call. So he gave me a call and he was like, "Hey, I want to create like a run that includes fitness, and can you just design something?" And that's when it was so Hyrox was drafted up in Jackson Hole. I think that was maybe 2014.
Boy, I sure am glad you didn't tell me because that would have been all over. Like, you got to change this, change this. You were smart not to mention it to me.
I think so too.
And so this Christian, he field hockey Olympian. I read that, and then he had kind of worked for the organization side of Ironman competitions, and so he was kind of coming at this for creating an event. The event, was he looking at like a spectator event? It seems like the Hyrox, you'd call it a sport, right? So it's kind of a fitness as a sport type of deal on the coattails of CrossFit. Is that was the original idea,
Um,
or what was your what?
yeah, so it was basically when you look at CrossFit, lots of the movements are like super technical and kind of hard to do for someone who's brand new to the sport. So it was the assessment was to come up with something that's doable for everyone. And so I then created or designed the race with non-technical movements that we kind of like all inherit by birth. Like we all walk, we can run, we can squat, and we can lunge. So those are all simple movements. And I say the only technical movement is the wall ball, which essentially is a squat and a push, right? So yeah, that was the idea.
So I'm not super familiar with this, but if I understand correctly, it begins with the A stations. Before each station, do a 1 kilometer run, and it was designed to be completed inside. Was that original idea? It was always to be designed to be completed in?
No, not really.
Okay,
I had no task in regards to that. It was just like what can we do to like it needed to be something that is judgeable in terms of if you have a lot of people doing it at once. You know how like a wall ball is really judging intense. There's like one-on-one judging, but like a ski erg, it's basically it runs up to 1,000 meters, and and also burpee broad jumps. It's just like yes, you look at the
distance,
technique, but you also look at the distance. So that was the intention, to find something that is easy to implement to like a bigger group of people. Mind you, I didn't know that it was going to be this big, but I, thought we're going to have a couple hundred. It's going to be an annual competition type thing, and that's it,
right?
right?
Right. So it's the order of the exercises, are they always the same for every athlete?
Yeah, they're always the same. It's standardized. Like even the distance is standardized. So no matter where you do a Hyrox in the world, everything is exactly the same. It's even down to the T that we measure. The inner stations and stuff like that. So you'll always have the same amount of running and the same amount and the same order of events.
Got it. And so it's 1 kilometer run, 1,000 meters on a ski erg, 1 kilometer run, a sled push. The sled push is a standardized distance and load. How do you account for the friction?
Interesting question. That's actually one of the challenges we have, because when I obviously after designing it, I ran lots of tests and guinea pigged it, and where I tested it was concrete. So it was a sled on concrete, and then on like the day of the competition, like when we first had the very first inaugural event, it was on carpet, and the weight was way too heavy. So at night before the actual event, we were doing like a test run, and no one could move the sled. So it was like fuck. Like we communicated the weights. Everyone was kind of like hyped and prepared, and now we have to take weight. Like the rule books were done, so now we had to take weight off. But that's just what, like, the nature of that carpet, like that friction. And at the beginning, we were like, I guess, we didn't pay much attention until we noticed, depending on where you are, how warm it is, how long the carpet's been used, like they tend to get heavier or lighter. And so now we calibrate them. Like we use a literal, like a Newton meter. It's like a gog, and you attach it, and then, yeah, so you calculate it.
Yeah, I struggled with in my own programming on how to program sled pushes and sled drags for remote athletes, and I have noticed that there's these new sleds that are on wheels that
Yeah.
use friction. Have you seen those?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think you could maybe dial it in there, but that'd be the only way, because if not, the sliding surface is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, but those are, the heavier the athlete, the more it favors the heavier, stronger athlete. So they're also not entirely, um, I guess,
That's the
equal.
same for every sled, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. In general, it is, but like the way the resistance is kind of like, I'm not too into the physics, but if
Got
you're,
it.
yeah, yeah, it's designed
So
to
you've
be,
looked at that,
yeah. Thanks.
and then it's a 1 kilometer run.
Then it's sled
How
pull.
many the sled pull? Burpee broad jumps first or not? Oh, sled pull, right? Sled pull, then 1 kilometer run, burpee broad jumps. 1 kilometer run, rowing erg, 1 kilometer run, farmer's carry, run, sandbag lunges, and then you finish with the run and then wall balls. So wall balls are the finishing event. So you'll have, when you go to these events, it's fairly big now, but you'll have, say, what, 1,000 athletes, 2,000 athletes go through this?
No more. We have now,
Really
we're at days we have like it's a couple of days, so we have 15 to 20,000 athletes. It's like it got huge.
crazy.
Hmm.
So I always wondered if everybody started the same or if you staggered the starts at different parks, but you must, because it seems like it would take a long time if everybody started at the
Yeah, we
beginning.
stagger it. We stagger it. So when we first first started, we were like going from lightest to heaviest weight, in the
Yeah.
divisions, and then we stagger it in
Is that
10
when you
minutes.
say weight? Is that body weight?
No, no, no. So
The
we
to
have
the
open
event.
weights and we have pro weights of, for example, the sleds, and those determined in the beginning, which group went first. So the
Got
lightest
it.
sleds, would go in the morning, and then we would stack up the weights. But then what happened is, the events got so big, and now we're talking race flow, congestion on the run course, like
Right, right,
stuff
right.
like that. So now it's different. So now it's single men go first, and now we kind of like switch in the weights. It's kind of like how the best flow for the athletes. So for the best, I guess, race experience in terms of density at the stations and on the run course. It's kind of
But
crazy.
everybody still, or for the event, everybody still starts with the run and then the skier right away.
Yeah, yeah. So
The
everybody's
order's
doing
always the
this.
same.
The order of events is always the same, and then it's basically 10-minute increments. Let's say we have start waves of 40 or 45, so it'll be at 8 o'clock, first 45 are off, then 8:10, next 45, 8:20, and so on and so forth. And then we have like breaks, where we change weights, and then like it keeps going. It's huge. You should you should come. I'm trying to think of one that's close to you. I think we're gonna have Anaheim at some point. You should.
The how big is it for spectators, or is it just mostly the participants kind of watch the other participants, or like they're actually spectators now?
Yeah, there's a big spectator, I guess, amount. I think it's almost at a point where it's 1-to-1 racer spectator ratio because people bring their friends. And the way it's designed is, you come in as a spectator. You can follow your person from station to station, so you can like cheer on them. It's just so you kind of like get into the hall. There's a big running loop, so you're gonna have to path. You have to path the run course, and then you're like inside, and then there's merge and partners, and then you kind of find your way to the stations, and then each station will have like a designated spectator area where you can go to and yeah, and cheer. It's pretty cool. And then at
And
the
the
end they have like at the end they have like a big like what do you call like
award
like
ceremony.
where you can sit, no, where you can sit, like it's kind of like a little, they create like our operations team, did a pretty good job, so you can sit and then watch 100, like your person do wall balls and then like cross the finish line. It's kind of cool.
Interesting, yeah. So there's an incredible production element to this.
Yeah,
That yeah, the
yeah,
hype is
it's
they do
huge.
they play loud music or anything when it's going on or anything like that?
Yeah, it's like a big festival. Honestly, if you're working, it's kind of annoying because you're like constantly like hearing the music and the air, and you're inside and stuff. But like as a racer and also as a spectator, it's big fun. It's just not fun if you're there for like 19 hours. It's like at some point, it's like, ugh, okay.
So you and you're doing these around the world. How big of a that's all indoor? How big of an indoor facility do you need? Do you need something obviously for at least a 1 kilometer loop around, right?
It's not a 1 kilometer loop. It's like several loops. So
Okay, I
so
got
it's
it.
like
So you don't
2 laps or 3 laps type
to
thing.
to get to a kilometer. Okay, go ahead.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's inside, like it's fairs. For example, in Chicago, we do it at Navy Pier, or, LA, we do it at the LA Convention Center. So it's like always inside in those big facilities. We also need them because, from a, I guess, maintenance, like people come in, they want to, use bathrooms, they want to change and stuff like that. So it can't be, yeah, it could be stadiums, I guess, but we rarely do stadiums.
Yeah, so you don't need like an indoor American football stadium or anything like that. You can do it in a smaller facility. How in the world did you come up with the ski erg? Was the ski erg part of your original design? Were there even ski ergs when you felt this thing?
Yeah, there were because I know you. I know you're not a big fan of the ski erg, but when I was in Hamburg with the hockey players, we had a rower, and then at some point we also had a ski erg because we had like a I guess a like a partnership with Concept Two or whatever, and I actually really liked it because I was using it a lot when the players were like hurt, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they couldn't do any lower limb stuff, so they all did upper body, and it was perfect, and they're like gassed when they do it. So I really liked it, and I thought, you know, I needed something upper body, which was like a machine type thing. I didn't want to make it a bike. So yeah, that's when the skier came in.
It's pretty much a kettlebell swing in reverse, right? Because it's loaded at the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, yeah. You could
You have to use your you got to use your hips to get it to go.
Yes, you use your like you kind of like use your upper body. Like the more you lean into it, the more you can pull. And because you're like the initial pull, it kind of like whenever there's upper arm move involvement, it's like super heavy on your heart rate. So it's like a great conditioning tool.
What I know you went through some early iterations. What early exercises or order when you first started testing turned out to be wrong? What were some of the adjustments that you made?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned kettlebell swings. We had kettlebell swings in there. So
Hmm.
it was 100 kettlebell swings. It was fairly heavy. It was 24 for a women pro and then 32 for men pro. I mean, it was still fun, but it's too technical. And then again, there was no way to like judge it correctly other than have a one-on-one judging. So there's no automation to it or anything, right? Or you would like do one swing and walk one step. Like it's not possible. That was in there, and then the other one that was in there that didn't make it was box jumps. So again, box jumps, like the only way to make it mass participation compatible would have been to like build several boxes and then it's like jump up and down and up and down. It's like an obstacle type thing. That would have taken too much space. So yeah. So those were two that were in and then went out.
Hyrox has to be the number one consumer of ski ergs for Concept 2. Concept 2 has really done well with Hyrox.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, well deserved because those machines like they're so durable, they hardly break. Like literally they do hundreds and hundreds of meters or thousands of meters and like from show to show, like we pack them up, like we break them down, we pack them back up, and they don't break. They hardly
That's
ever
what I was
break.
going to ask. Is it because you have a operations team, and I imagine this is the team that goes around and gets the. How far ahead do they need to get to the location? A couple days, a day to set up.
Like before, it was like a day. So when the race was on Saturday, they went there on Friday, like 4 or 5 a.m. depending on when the venue would let us in, and then they set
Hmm.
up all day, and then sometime in the late noon, the sports team would come in, and then they would do everything, and they would have been done. Some if it went well, it would have been done by 8 or 9 p.m. And if it went not so well, then late night, like after midnight or whatever. So that was like back when there was still 1 day events, and now that it's multiple day events and also way bigger. Start waves, they come in on Thursday, so they set up Thursday, Friday, so 2 days, and then Saturday, Sunday is usually the race.
And so this crew is traveling around with all the equipment, and because you're doing international locations, I mean that's all being flown over there and then put on trucks and then moves with the crews. What I'm assuming.
Yeah, it used to, but now because it's so globally, so many events and multiple events on multiple days, there's like several kits per region. So there's,
Got it.
I want to say, 2 kits for Europe and then 2 kits for APAC region and stuff like that. So their own roadshow.
As the founder of the or as the creator of the event, did you have operational people come to you and say, "Christ, Mitra, these row machines are a pain in the ass. Can't we get another event?"
Yeah, they were definitely cursing out in regards to the weights of the sleds because those are like 725 kilogram or what 40 pound plates per what do you call it, per sled times 50. So yeah, they're working hard. They're getting their own workout in.
Just to set the sleds up and move them. When you designed this event, was there I did a little bit of research on this. The fastest guys are finishing 50 minutes under an hour, right? But the slower people will come in at 2 hours. Did you have a target time that you worked on in terms of completion?
Yeah, I was the guinea pig for that. I'm like a really slow runner,
Yeah, it's really slow.
but I'm fairly strong. I got stronger. So when I would do it, I would like run a 6 to 7 minute K. I don't know what that is translated, but it's super slow basically. But I would do these stations fairly for so, and it would always take me around an hour and 30, and that just happened to be the exact average. So the average finishing time is 90 minutes, and that's what we also anticipated because when I did it by myself, I was 90 minutes, and then I had Jacob do it, and then he was like 10 minutes quicker. But then we had like friends do it, and they will like end up at 140. So yeah. And now that the sport or the racing, gotten a couple of seasons in it, so the athletes now have, you know, they're accommodated now to this type of training, so they tend to get faster now. So I want to say it's not at 90 minutes anymore. It might be 85 or 80, and it will go down. Yeah.
In terms of the overall completion, the running is the bulk of the time, I assume, of the completion time. Is that correct? Or is it 50-50? Or in other words, in other words, if I was to tell you to train for this, I would say run first. 70% of your time at the event is going to be finished doing the running.
It's actually kind of interesting question. It's because you would think like a fast runner is, I guess, better or has an advantage, but the advantage is there, but it's not like significant. So someone who is a little bit slower but super fast on the stations would then be, good to improve their running. But like just because you're a fast runner is not going to give you a fast Hyrox time. You need to be able to run under that load, like, that so-called compromised running. You need to be able to
Got
do
it.
that.
Well, interesting. Yeah, I know that in designing optical race plans that I've done, like for Spartan events, when you take a look at the breakdowns, by far the most of the time the athlete is running in terms of the overall completion time. So that's an emphasis in the programming. But so for your programming, you would be a little more equal between the two stations. How
Yeah.
much is in terms of the best athletes that you've seen start to go through this and do really well? Is it fitness, or are they learning the technique of the different events and or the strategy of how to work them in with the running? In other words, do they hold back on the running a little bit so they can be faster on the wall balls at the end?
I think it's to a point it's pacing, but it's not just pacing on the runs. It's like pacing over the course of run exercise. So if you lot of athletes, if they go out too fast, for example at the ski erg, they try and like keep up or whatever, that will like blow them out and then they're done. So that's like, I think every athlete has like their point that they need to get over. Like for some it's burpee broad jumps, and once they're there, then they can take it up a notch. Or for some it's the sled push. So I think it is essentially pacing, but it's not um pacing in like running versus stations. So it's more overall pacing, like up until station 3, and then you're going all quicker. You know what I mean?
No, I know that right. I remember, I haven't looked at this for a while, but I worked with a guy who used to um, compete in CrossFit, and he was like 6'4" or something, 220 pounds, and he would only get so far, and there would be some guy who's 5'9" and 180 would just. It seemed like all the CrossFit winners are right around that size, right? It was kind of a medium size. Is there something similar that you're seeing occur in terms of your top level high rocks athletes in terms of their
Yeah,
body comp?
I mean, if you look at the top athletes, it's kind of interesting because there are some who are like kind of like lean, like triathlete figure type thing, and who are like super strong and super fast, and you couldn't tell that they're super strong, right? And then we have like a freak, what was about to say, but yeah, like a freak athlete like Hunter McIntyre. I don't know if you know him, but he's like He's like that guy. He's like 6'7" and 220 pounds. I'm not exactly sure, but like he's like super tall and also really muscular, and he runs it in 54 minutes, right? So it's kind of like it's you cannot say there's one body type really, because there are lots of body types. But in general, maybe if I had to say something, it does favor to some point the shorter guys and girls, right? But then there's other no, but that's wrong because then wall balls you have an or ski erg or rowing you have like a advantage if you have longer arms and are taller, right? So not entirely true.
We had this one workout I put together back before I learned something, and it was called Ultimate Driving Machine. It was part of our initially, as part of my selection program for SFAS, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the events was kettlebell swings, and I was doing it next to this guy named Josh, and all the rest of the loading, was all the loading, and I could actually catch up to him during the kettlebell swings, not because I was faster, but because he had to swing it so much further.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I catching up to this guy? So I'd end up to the because I'm 5'4", right? So
That's
I
funny.
would just having to move it as far. So that's kind of interesting. So you've been working in this world of Hyrox for how many years now? 7 years? Hard?
Yeah,
Heavy?
I think 2017 is, I can never get the years right, but 2017 I think is where we started. So yeah, 7, 8 years.
Has the tell me a little bit more, I guess, before we get into that. We've talked a little bit about the production. How many people would be in the operations team? And your husband Jacob, is he part of that? He travels around with the crews and sets stuff up.
No,
Go ahead. Not anymore.
no, he's head of operations, obviously, but we all used to travel because like we were a fairly small team. I think we started off with 15, and then we kind of like get contractors for the road shows. And a little bit like that is still true to this day. So we are a fairly small, I want to say, HQ team or like core staff team. The rest is contractors. But if you want to look at numbers, I want to say, oh, it's tough to say, but like for the build, I want to say it's 30 people, 30 to 40 people who built the entire thing. Yeah.
And then because now it's sport and you're doing world rankings and world champions, obviously you don't want to have any controversy over timing and stuff. That's all automated. I know you're using mats to track people running around. So there's a whole technical side to that, or how does that work and how has that evolved?
Yeah, good question. So we started off with a company called Mika Timing, who are like known for doing marathons and triathlons across the world. And so it's like basically it's that system with like different loops incorporated. Like, you have a start and an end, but like in between you have little starts and ends, which are then your split times for the runs, for the workstations, and then your overall times. And the system is actually pretty ingenious because you get a timing chip and you cross mats, and the system detects you, so they can say if you missed a lap or if you missed a station or if you the order of stations. So it's kind of like pretty cool, and it catches all the mistakes basically. But and so when you would race, you would get your split times, and you would get an overall time, you would get your run splits, and then you would get like a how much you spent in the Roxzone running, how much you spent like on the run course, and then your actual time rowing, for example. So that's pretty cool. And but then, obviously when you get bigger times, like there's sometimes, if you would, for example, we have a format where you do it in doubles, so you do it with a team, a partner. And so when that partner is standing behind you and waiting, and for example, I'm rowing and you're waiting behind me until I get done with the rower, and then we switch, right? So if you would then be too close to the mat, for example, you would then get a detection. And so there's little flaws to this, whereas like sometimes people would have a rowing time of 1 minute because someone was too close to that mat. But then the overall time is fine. But those are little things that I guess we catch over the course of the race. Those are learnings. So with thousands and thousands of people there, I'm sure there's some weird numbers, but what matters is the overall time is correct. But the split times are sometimes not.
Well, some of the events still need to be counted. Wall balls need to be counted. I guess burpee broad jumps. You got to make sure they're not taking too many steps between the
Yeah.
burpees.
Yeah.
How many judges per athlete do you do for that?
Okay, so we have a rough we have 30, we call them head judges, who are like the, they are the supervisors of the stations, and those are like per I guess we work in shifts, AM and PM, so we have like 30 in the mornings, 30 at nights. And then we have an additional, depending on the size of the event, another 300 judges who are like volunteers, or you know like people who come in and then make sure the standards are upheld within those, for example, 30 meters, because one head judge can judge all the racers that come in there. So
Got it. Got it.
and then for those stations, they are placed, like one judge has like 10 meters and the next has another 10 meters until we cover the entire 80 meters. So it's
Got
like
it.
they,
Got it.
yeah.
So one judge isn't just following one athlete all the way
No,
through. Got it.
no.
So I go to Hyrox, I search your name, I Google your name. Nowhere does it say you're given credit for creating this event.
Yeah, I don't know.
What the fuck is up with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning, I think there's two ways to look at it. So in the beginning, I
This will
designed
be
the.
this will be interesting, but I don't see another way to look at it. But I'm interested to see the two ways. Go ahead.
Oh, no, to a part, I'm thinking I could have done more to be more to fight a little bit more, I guess. And in the other ways, there's only so much I can do. Everyone in the company or in the Hyrox bubble knows. And if you look at the rule book, it'll say, Mintra Tilly designed the racing and wrote this rule book. But yeah, I guess in the public eye, it's not happening. I don't know. I honestly don't. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, perhaps this is a question for Christian's one of the guys who kind of came to you, and I guess, and who was the other guy? Jake.
No,
It's
that's
not.
Moritz. So Christian
No.
is the
Okay.
guy who called me and was like, "Hey, can you
Got it.
design
Got
this
it. Got
race?"
it.
Yeah.
Did you know him prior to the call, or did he? How did you know him?
Yeah, he was or he is the husband of a good friend of mine.
Oh, that's how. Okay.
Yeah. But hey, I think at the end of the day, it's also a little bit the story, right? So Christian is this guy who has, he brought Iron Man, like the Iron Man history, and then Mo is like the Olympic hockey player. So who knows? Like it might not, it might have been like not interesting enough to have, a female or like a small girl in there, like who designed the race. So I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't have any reason why this went this way.
Are those guys both German nationals too? They're both German guys. I did see you were interviewed by in a podcast. You haven't been on very many podcasts, but 21 minutes or something. Like I would think that female strength coaches or women would, maybe they just don't know. But I mean, it's pretty incredible what you've created. The event. I mean, I know there's a whole
Thank you.
marketing side to it, but like I said, I'm glad you want to show me that. This thing's stupid.
I'm actually
I
glad I
would have
didn't
probably
either.
reordered. I would have reordered it around. Too much leg, too much this, too many garbage reps. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. Now, you do you have any ownership in the organization? Do you have an ownership stake in it? I know you work for them as a salaried employee, I'm sure, but do you have ownership at least?
No, no, I'm working. I'm not a full-time staff. I'm a consultant, and I have a consultant contract. And with that comes, I kind of, yeah, I do get I do get compensated for designing the race, and I do get compensated, for creating it. So yeah.
Does your compensation increase with the success of the race and the organization?
Yes.
Oh, good. So it's a little bit like a residual of a movie or something. Then
Yeah.
I understand. Has it made you rich?
Not yet. Still waiting for the big bang.
Got it. Got it. You describe it as a sport. I mean, people who participate, they do it just once. How many people come and do it again and again? Because it seems like it does right now, just based on the schedule. It kind of travels around the country. To participate again and again and again, you're gonna have to travel around and around and around, right? Do most people just do it once, or how many athletes are like flying around and doing this thing at the different locations?
I don't have exact insight on that number because
Right.
I'm not marketing, but I know that people who do a Hyrox once, they 100% come back. So that they come back a second and a third time and even a fourth time. So it's like
Is it like the next year they when it comes around to their
Yeah,
city, or
exactly,
they maybe travel?
exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And then there's even a percentage, I'm not sure how many, but it's not a small percentage that travel and do Hyrox, like destination Hyroxes.
For the world champions and the global, I guess rankings, is that just based on the Hyrox completion time at one sanctioned event, or is it based on three events they got to travel to, or how does that work?
So there's two different aspects. One is we call them age group world championships. Those is you go to any event and you qualify within your age group. You have to come first or second, and then is when you get the ticket to worlds. So that's how you qualify for age group. And then we have the so-called elite, and the elite qualifies through a system where we call them major, but it's like sanctioned events, where up to a point there's a cutoff date, and you will have to race a certain time. Then you get invited, and at that major, then you race against the 15 best men and women, and then if you place one to third, then you get a ticket to Worlds.
Got it. Are you personally the one who's kind of created that system,
No, this system is,
or is it common used in other like in triathlons or something? Is it a common system?
yeah, I think it's a mixture of, like, so after the season we sit down and then we talk about, how can we make this more, because we do have some flaws in the system where, one good race will get you everywhere, and then you're like not really supposed to say you're taking someone's spot. And so after each season we sit down and then we kind of look at how other, I guess, sports and, marathons and triathlons, how they do it, and then we kind of like try to do the best qualification system for us.
When did you know that the sport that you created was onto something?
That was, to be honest, in London. That was shortly after COVID, and during the pandemic, we had like something called the World Virtual Championships of Fitness, and there's been like a huge UK community built up through that phase. And when we had our first event after COVID, I remember being at the London Excel in that facility and thinking like, what's happening? Because it was the first event. It was a fairly small event, but a big event for a first time, right? So it was like, I want to say thousands of UK people, and they never, literally never, we never did anything in the UK except for that World Championship, Virtual Championship, and that's when I thought like, this this could work. They're all doing this thing that I scribbled down in Jackson Hole, and they love it. So that was pretty cool.
Now you started your own gym. You're a consultant with Hyrox now, so you are. I mean, you're not an employee for them, and you started your own gym. And I'm just looking at it right now. So it's Roxzone Original Gym. Tell me about the concept behind this. Is it based around a sport like this? Are you just doing regular strength and conditioning? Are you doing leg blasters like I made people do? What are you doing?
Yeah, we actually we wanted to, when this opportunity with the gym came up. I know we me talked to like, should we do it or not, and then Jacob was really pushy, let's do it. And then so we thought about what could we do with it. It's like it's a boutique gym. It's like I think it's 200 square meters, and we thought about, or I thought about making it, stations, and the stations be cardio based and then also strength based, and then could just come up with a system that would make the most of the space, let's put it like that. And
Got
then
it.
we kind yeah, and then we kind of like tested it and trialed it, and what we came to like, what I think was missing is there are so many Hyrox athletes now, and they all want to train and prepare for Hyrox, but they go to a global gym, then they're missing a piece of equipment. It's very equipment intense, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is so they go there and they're missing the sled, or then they can train for the sled. So it's like we wanted to create I guess an ideal gym for this type of hybrid training, but at the same time we also do strength, because you know I mean, I learned from you, so we're always going to do squats and deadlifts and stuff. It's just not to that extent because we are limited in space, but we do strength, and we don't do leg blasters. I mean, now we might do. I'm not that you said that, but we haven't introduced them yet. But we're doing conditioning and strength training at the same time as Hyrox classes.
So you actually have like Hyrox focused programming and for certain athletes, and then general fitness for other people.
Exactly.
Was has I see that you've got quite a few events in the U.S. now for Hyrox. Was there any resistance because you guys are pansy Europeans come over there to U.S. where we're all tough and no one they thought you had a weak event or something, or were the Americans all on it?
Yeah, it was tough at the beginning, to be honest. It was like me and Jacob would go over and, we would go to New York or we'd go to LA and then we would visit gyms, do a drop in, and then afterwards talk to the owner and be like, hey, there's this competition coming up from Germany. It's called Hyrox. And they were all like, yeah, okay, bye type thing. But some, well, they were literally, telling us off. But then some were like, oh, this is interesting and stuff. So it was kind of like hard to get a foot in the door. It's a lot of explaining. It's like and it's so hard to explain, right? You you cannot like tell someone. They have to experience for themselves. So it was tough at the beginning, and then COVID hit, and then when it just would take, like, we had one or two events, I think, which were kind of like on the right path. They were successful, and so the word was spreading. But then COVID hit, and then so yeah, that was a step back. But then um but interesting question. Long story short, it took us, I think, 2 years longer in the US than it took us in every other market. But now we're there. And now it's becoming what is supposed to be the biggest market for us. Yeah.
The I see that there's a partnership with Red Bull. Red Bull's a European privately held company, and Puma is a European privately held company. I see you've got Concept Two. Is Concept Two an American company? I don't know.
Good question. I think
I don't. It may not be, or maybe it's easy enough to find out. So I guess that's good. It's been interesting for me to follow a little bit what's happened in the CrossFit world and in the sport there. I always thought that the fitness as a sport would wear off. I'm not too sure I agree to the idea that fitness is a sport. Um, for you as a strength conditioning coach, though, you've been working around this one event for all these years. Has it become stale for you from a programming perspective? Are you? I mean, go ahead.
yes and no. Um it's I don't program that much anymore. I have two coaches that do the programming, but I oversee it. So it is kind of, I guess, repetitive, but at the same time, there's so many different other things you can like throw in there to spice it up that it's then again not, right? Because if you look at the variety of, I mean, first of all, it's 8 stations, and then you can you can put an emphasis on each station, and you can play around with it pretty much. But then so it's not, it hasn't stayed yet. But I too asked myself this question, like, when are people gonna get bored, I guess, because at the end of the day, it's so repetitive. It's always 1K followed by one exercise, and then you do it 8 times. But then think about it, people don't get bored of marathons. Like, do they? Right? I don't think so. People don't get bored of triathlons and Ironman. So having I think being repetitive might be something good, because then you keep comparing yourself. It's like a benchmark, and you can look back. Oh, this is what I did 2020, and now I'm here, and type thing.
For people listening, Mintra has been doing work for me for years, and for years she ran our support. So many of you have received emails from Mintra.
Hmm.
She collated all the Q&As, so all the questions I'd answer. She still does our weekly email beta. She still puts it together. It's just so interesting to see. And I know that did you write your book when you were working for the hockey team?
Yeah.
You did, and that got you some. You got pretty famous. Mintra's more. I guess I'm saying Mintra's more famous than I.
That's not true. I think it was a bust, because I was the first strength coach, the female strength coach for like an all male first division team, and blah blah blah. So it was like a sensation in I guess in the strength and fitness world, and then hockey, and then that's what got me the book deal. And I enjoyed the ride, but that kind of worn off. Like, it's kind of, no one knows that I wrote a book anymore. I don't think you can even buy it anymore. It's gone.
If you were to, we're going to be done with Hyrox here in a second, but if you were to go back and change the event,
Hmm.
after all these years to make it better or more comprehensive? I guess answer that from two perspectives. One from a strength conditioning perspective, and then maybe the second from just a event judging and flow perspective. What are some? What would be Mintra's event now? What would be the event? And
I think
since we have it on record here, Christian can't steal it from you and not give you credit.
honestly, I think I would make some rules a little more harder because the sled pull was intended to be an upper body pull, and athletes just got really smart with it, and they now what they do is they pull it and they walk backwards. So it's essentially, a back chain movement. So they do a little pulling, but they pull with their legs, right? So
Mm,
I would have made that really clear. You have to pull from your arm, with your arm and your arms only. You can really use a little hip movement, but you cannot move your feet basically. I think that would have changed, I guess, the dynamic a little bit and make it super hard. I'm not too sure if I would have put in something else in there than farmer's carry, to be honest. But I wouldn't know what. Like it would be another one-on-one thing. I wanted, there's a sandbag lunge in there, and I wanted to make use of the sandbag and do like some sort of sandbag toss, because that's super hard. And I love a sandbag, right? So that's probably I would probably take out the farmer's carry and make it a little bit more fun and a little harder.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if anybody's designed as many fitness assessments as I have, and that always comes up. Like, how do you judge the depth of the wall balls? Are they bouncing off a ball, or are they bouncing off something on the bottom side?
But yeah, that's
The
a big controversy here. So
mm-hmm.
okay, so the rule is you have to squat below parallel and you have to center and the target in the center. And
Right.
obviously, if you can't squat below parallel, you get a box. But that box is like the general size. It doesn't take into consideration if you're super tall or super short. So that's
Right.
a flaw, right?
That sucks for tall guys, but I don't care about them. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
That sucks for them, but yeah, good for you, I guess. So, but then we're still doing, like, we're fairly young and we blew up so fast and we have so many participants, and now we got to do our homework in terms of we got to educate and find good judges. We got to hold up the
Right.
standards. And now there's a thing where we have digital wall ball targets where the target itself, you don't have to worry about it for the judge, because if the ball touches it, then it counts the rep. But now all they have to do is like actually check if it's below parallel. But even for a
It's pretty
season,
hard.
it's super hard. It's a fast
Yeah.
movement. There's a different, people with longer legs or even muscular legs, it looks weird. It looks like they're not squatting below parallel. So it's kind of hard, and we need to do a better job in educating our judges. But we're on it. Yeah, I mean, it's a evolution. It's a ongoing process.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my rules for fitness assessments are simple events, easy to judge. Whole thing doesn't take all damn day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to get to that. Actually, it's really difficult. I think we're doing a lab rat cycle right now on tactical power. I'm calling it, and
Hmm.
I can't remember, but one of the events I was thinking about doing sandbag toss and chase for distance. We've done that before, like a 60-pound sandbag. Pick it up. You got to push it. You can, you can't run it. You got to push and press it. And then you go down, pick it up, and you go
Yeah.
down for distance. I think I changed that to power. One of the problems with that is it's easier for heavier guys. Anyway, right now I think it's power clean, like 10 reps of power clean push press at 75% of your body weight or something to make it all equal.
Okay.
It's just kind of an
Hmm.
interesting,
Yeah, definitely.
getting into all that stuff is really, really interesting. What other ways, in terms of, I know you worked with me over the years, any strength and conditioning books that you've really come back to or relied on, or coaches that you really respect that you come back to, or programming methodologies? I know you've been in this Hyrox world, but I know you're a professional strength and conditioning coach as well. So anybody out there that has really influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, I keep every podcast I'm on. It's not that I go to podcasts all the time, but like if I get asked these questions, I always say you. I always mention you. So everything I know is I learned from you. I could have read all the books, but like it was not the same. It was just something about showing up. I don't even know, was it 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., working out and then going upstairs and then doing research and then, you know, presenting it and then getting like crushed and then having to do it all over again. It's just like it was tough love, but it kind of like shaped me to, to the coach, and to an extent the person that I am today. So I keep saying your name, so you heavily influenced me. Yeah, and then I met Gerrit, who was another fellow strength and conditioning coach for hockey. He also, I also learned a lot of stuff from him. Smart guy. And then other than that, I never, honestly, never had a coach after that. I wanna mention Jordan too. I give credit to Jordan Smotherman as well, because he also gave me some tough love. But yeah, other than that, I never had a. That's the stuff I go back to. When I guess times get tricky or tough. I look back to that stuff and remember stuff, and still use that toolbox to this day.
Any questions about Hyrox, your involvement with it, lessons learned that I didn't ask that I should have asked?
Yeah, one piece of advice I want to give to, I guess, anyone who's out there who's like still at the beginning, wants to climb up the ladder, and yeah, speak up. Just speak up for yourself. Don't be afraid. People are not going to stop liking you because you spoke up. Just things are going to be fine. That's something I would have tell myself. Oftentimes I would think, it's not my place, or people are gonna think weird of me if I say something. But no, it's the opposite. It's like, obviously present yourself in a, I guess, present it in a nice way. Don't be super mean, but just speak up for yourself. And if you feel something's not right, then address it.
Do you sorry about that.
That's fine.
Clearly, do you think? I mean, my sense, the way you described it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you kind of got pushed around because you're a woman.
100%.
So
Yeah.
or is it just because you didn't speak up?
No, it's okay. I feel like I myself um kind of like had an evolution of like becoming, more confident and being more, aware of my skills and what I bring to the table. But that was an internal evolution I had to do myself, and
Got it.
I think it's it's definitely me being a woman. I think if I were a man, things would have been different. But to a part, I don't want that to be an excuse, right? So
Got
I
it.
am what I am. I can't change it, but um I also had to grow up and kind of learn that it's not me, it's them.
What is because you're a self-taught strength coach like I am. If I remember right, your higher education's in marketing, and then you kind of came to strength coaching kind of accidentally, or
Yeah.
because you're just into fitness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you didn't come up through the regular world. I guess for the future, continue with the High Rocks events, continue consulting. We've spoken earlier, and it sounds like you might be trying to create affiliates or franchises for your own gym.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you have one in Hamburg now, and you're going to be opening up in a second. And where is that at?
Yeah, we have a licensee in Spain, in Madrid. They're opening up next Monday, so beginning of February, and it's gonna be their first gym in Spain, the first ROG in Spain, which is pretty damn awesome.
How does that work? Do you provide the name and then the location there, and then do you dictate their programming, or do they do their own programming and just go ahead?
Yeah, so basically we provide them with the name and the CI, and we help them with, the layout of the gym, and the look and feel and stuff, so all that external stuff. And then we provide them with tools, membership software, and heart rate monitors, like software, stuff like that. We tell them that they should use that in order to run that system, and then we provide them with programming. Because we're still in the beginning, so now we're writing all their programming and they're following us, so it's basically the same whether you would do it in Hamburg or in Madrid. But like, the goal is to educate them to design their own program
Got it.
if they want to. But for me, that's the goal. Yeah.
So, and anybody who was be interested in doing that, just contact you through your website. I'll make sure that's on there.
Yeah. Please do reach out.
I would do it, but then you'd be my boss and we'd be arguing all the time.
We would argue all the
Because
time.
you'd be criticizing my programming.
But once I get to criticize you.
You know, this story is a little sad, honestly.
But yeah, it's sad, but it's not the end of the story yet, right? So I there's and I appreciate that you say that, and I appreciate for you always, being so blunt and like kind of like waking me up. It's so easy, I guess, to get lost in that funk and be like, oh, that's okay. It's just the way it is. So lots of times when you write me, I'm like it's like that wake up call, like that New York Times article when you wrote. I was like bawling when you wrote that because yeah, you were right. Like my name should have
Yeah,
been
there
in
was an
there.
article in New York Times on this, and they didn't even mention that you were the one who created
Yeah,
the sport.
but that's
Did you
that.
challenge? Did you challenge Christian with that?
Yeah, well, I did. It's also what the journalist chooses to write. So there's no way for me to be like, hey, please correct that. But what I'm saying is,
I certainly understand that there's a marketing and a patching element to that, and they're kind of responsible for that. But still, I mean, you can't if what you're packaging and marketing is a turd, it's going to die somewhere. Clearly, you created through your own programming something that's pretty incredible.
yeah, and yeah, and I see that now for myself. But I'm saying was saying earlier is it's kind of like maybe what you're saying. The story is not ending here, so it's starting with ROG. We're building our own legacy, and while still helping Hyrox to grow. And I think there's lots of good stuff to look forward to, and lots of lesson learned.
Aren't you vulnerable though? Kind of tie in ROG to Hyrox. I mean,
Yes,
if
yes and
Hyrox
no.
goes out of fad, for example, go ahead.
Yeah, yes and no. Exactly what I thought. It's called Roxzone Original Gym because it's the original Roxzone Gym. It's the first, and we're basically the OGs of Hyrox. So that's a little, I guess, hint. But it can perfectly stand on its own because the training methodologies, the classes, the programming is just great programming. It doesn't matter if there's a Hyrox that you train for, or if you're training for life, you can definitely benefit from good programming.
Yeah, programming is everything for sure.
Hmm.
I know you've got to go. Um, okay, lightning round.
Yeah.
Favorite total body strength exercise.
I want to say, oh yeah, you gave me those questions before, and I thought I thought about them. Favorite devil's press, devil's press.
What the hell's a devil's
You
press?
don't know what I knew that you don't know what it's
Never heard of it.
it's basically a burpee with two dumbbells. So you go down, you do a burpee, and then you swing them up.
Huh?
It's a killer. Love it.
Yeah, but is it? The question is favorite total body strength exercise. That's like a
Well,
conditioning drill.
okay. Well, you can make it super heavy. All right. Favorite total body strength exercise: squat clean.
Oh, that's a good answer. Damn. We did a. Did you see the study we did on the key exercises? We compared back squat, deadlift, and thruster. Back
Hmm.
squat by far was a winner, but a squat clean's pretty good. I don't think I put it in there because of the friggin' technical element of it.
It's so technical, but it's a great exercise.
It's easier
Super
than
hard.
the power clean to teach, at least for me. But yeah, good answer. Damn. Uh, okay, favorite lower body strength exercise. Strength exercise. Lower body
Yeah,
strength.
got it. So, lower body has to be Bulgarian split squats.
Interesting. I'll have
Yeah,
to do
I
some
did.
research to see how that transfers to back squats. Go ahead.
Well, it does. It does. There is actually some research on it because we used to do this all the time with our hockey players. And then obviously I would do my own programming, and it's just really good for overall, upping your strength. It's a single leg exercise, it helps. It's just a great exercise.
Favorite upper body press strength exercise, upper body press.
Yeah, like a seated military press.
Oh, that's
Boring.
a good one. That's good. You can't cheat
Okay,
it though.
thanks.
I got to say bench press, but maybe that comes from my meathead background.
Probably.
Favorite upper body pull strength exercise, upper
Yeah,
body
that's like
pull.
you're gonna laugh at me for this one. So it's gonna be like a ring row or a TRX row.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So hard to get the standard. Where do you come up to because you get so stuck there?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
just I just felt it was great during and after pregnancy, and then you can scale it up, and it's just a great, also a little
It's
bit
easy
of,
to scale. Yeah, that's for
yeah,
sure.
it's easy to scale.
Okay, 3 to 5 truths you have as a strength coach. For example, strength comes first, strength compound lifts, etc. 3 things that you kind of would go for. Go ahead.
So I 100% go by, and this is yours. If it's not working, change it. Program in pencil. 100%. Seen it all the time, and then change it up because it's not working. And from a mobility point of view, because I do like my mobility stuff. I know you don't, but it's like whenever you got, usually the pain point is not what causes the pain. So you got to look a little bit, you know, if your knee, if you have knee pain, it could be, it's probably your femur or something else, or something is, so just basically looking at the body with a more holistic approach, from a mobility point of view. And then, yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, you of all person should know. I mean, your your foot,
Yeah,
and your
I
this
have
and your
lots of
that and
issues.
your hip.
Oh yeah. Most overrated exercise.
Handstand walk. Like,
Yeah, I
why?
want to know most underrated exercise.
Sandbag get up.
What?
It's, yeah. No,
You're right though. I would. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
it's pretty damn awesome. It's one of the best exercises ever, and it's yet nowhere to be seen.
We do a lot of them.
I know.
A favorite work capacity event? Is it Hyrox or
I thought about that. I don't. Yeah, it has to be Hyrox. I don't have a go-to work capacity event other than that.
I guess mine would be like 3 power cleans, 75-meter shuttle, walk back to start.
That's nice.
Fairly light, maybe heaviest to be 135 for men, maybe around 95 for most people, but it's pretty
Okay, I
incredible.
got one. I got one. I remember one.
Go ahead.
Suicide sprints. Suicide sprints.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
You can easily progress those by adding a burpee before, then add 2 burpees, then add 3 burpees before the suicide. It's pretty good. A favorite core exercise, sandbag get up,
No.
or what would you go ahead?
Yeah, it's actually Russian triangle, old school.
Seated Russian triangle
Seated Russian triangle.
with a plate or dumbbell, or does it matter?
No, with a 10 kg plate.
Got it. Thoughts on deadlifts?
Absolutely, everyone should do deadlifts.
Good answer. Olympic lifts. Thoughts on Olympic lifting?
All but snatches. No snatching.
I love snatches,
I don't.
but I can't do them anymore because my damn shoulders, and I can't squat because of my knees. But your biggest programming mistake?
Programming sprints for an athlete I haven't seen all summer.
They pull their hamstring.
Yeah, pulled his femur pretty bad.
Oh wow! I had a lady doing hippity hops on a short bench, pop her friggin' Achilles one time.
Shit.
She was like an
Wow.
ultra runner, like too big to be an ultra runner, but this, I mean, she should have been friggin' tuned for this. I don't know.
Hmm.
Ideal warm up length.
Yeah, max 15
Yeah, I'm a 10-minute guy.
minutes.
I think that next question is kind of lame. Favorite conditioning test for athletes?
I like the beep test.
Really? I haven't. Yeah, we have a test for that. We haven't done that a lot, but it's. Have you seen our beep test alternative? I'll send you a link to it.
What is it? The burpee ladder?
Nope, nope. It's another one. It's kind of like the beep test. Um, I'll send it to you.
Hmm.
But we did. We
Okay.
actually had a really smart guy work for me, and he did a. We actually had athletes do a VO2 max test and then do this test, and the correlation, I forget, it was like 95%. So it was a great way
Oh, wow.
to find VO2 max. I think we asked the coaches and influential books earlier. I guess one piece of advice you give yourself early in the career. You said just speak up, stand up for yourself. Anything else?
Yeah. It's again, I mean, these are all personal. I would tell myself, I mean, after speaking up, uh, just, show up and do your work and believe in yourself. Like, it's one of those things. I mean, it sounds so lame, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Just keep believing in yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to do the work. Just show up and do the work, and then at the end of the day, you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, all right, I gave it my all. So I either succeeded or I didn't, but like, I'm still straight. Yeah.
It's been an honor talking to you today.
Likewise. Likewise.
My honor. We've known each other for so long, and boy, good for you. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't for you. Like, I wouldn't have done lots of the stuff. It was for you. You were the reason I went to Hamburg and got the deal with the hockey guys. I would have never went. I would have stayed in Jacksonville. Hell, I would have probably been there, uh, and work at MTI or something. But you told me like you need to go to Germany. You can't stay here.
Then you would have met Jacob and had your two kids.
And that's what I did. Yeah, exactly.
Mitra, thank you so very much for talking to us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.